Hey folks, my name is Jürgen, aka Nerd and Proud of It, and Destiny has brought you to my channel today to talk about the 3 top reasons why people choose the Sorcery TCG over Magic the Gathering. More and more people, I have to say. Of course, there are a lot of Magic the Gathering players, and a lot more than Sorcery players. And I think that's not something insulting to Sorcery. But more and more people choose the Sorcery TCG over Magic the Gathering for several reasons. And I'm gonna talk about 3 reasons, like the German 3. As you have seen, like the Tarantino movie, it's not like the English 3 in Germany. That's just in your head. I don't know. These kind of things, you don't get them out of your system anymore if you do them a certain way. That's not very important. I went on a walk today. And I do that every day because I start getting older and I start getting fat, so I need to move. And I went on a walk today, as I do every day, and I made a short in the windy, like, how do you call this? Like, fields of my backyard in the Netherlands. I was thinking about a video I wanted to make tonight, and I thought, like, hey, let's ask the community what do they want to hear. And a lot of people said I could do with a Magic the Gathering video, and a lot of people said we want to talk about Sorcery. And then there was this one comment from Coach. Coach has been here for, I think, pretty much the beginning, almost 5 years. Coach has not only supported the channel with comments over the years, but he also sent me my one and only signed Therese Nielsen card, which I'm still very, very thankful for. And he is on Discord sometimes, and lately, like, I think since about a year or 2 maybe, he's not super active anymore, at least it feels like that. And that's not an insult, because I love Coach, and Coach knows that. But he is here in spirit, and from time to time I see him pop up in the comments, like today. And that was really awesome, because Coach said, hey, I actually would like to hear why people choose Sorcery more. And all the old Magic the Gathering players at least have mentioned Sorcery, seen Sorcery, have Sorcery pop up in their feeds. What is this about? And I thought that might be a good way to connect these 2 subjects. And in the end, we have a video for all the community, because I either talk about Magic the Gathering or Sorcery, or some other nerdy stuff nobody cares about, but that's a different story. And I thought, hey, I could approach this like, what is better, Sorcery or Sorcery? And I think there's no answer to that, at least for somebody like me who really enjoys both games. There's no answer to that. I love Magic the Gathering. I've been playing since launch. I've been working with Magic the Gathering for several years. I met a lot of artists. I met a lot of friends through Magic the Gathering. I still play MTG with my friends. But I also love Sorcery. I've been playing it for a few years now. I participated in the Kickstarter, started to make content back then. So I think I'm there from launch as well for Sorcery, which kind of is one of the reasons I think Magic the Gathering players actually are interested in Sorcery. And that's the whole nostalgia thing. Nostalgia is something very peculiar for us Magic the Gathering players, because we love Magic the Gathering, but a lot of us are not very connected to the newer stuff. Yes, there are sets like Takir Dragonstorm or Brothers War that kind of trigger that old Magic the Gathering feeling, at least a little bit. But in the end, that nostalgia we had when in 1994, for me, I know it came out in 1993, but in 1994 it started to roll out in Germany a little bit. I opened my first revised booster pack and I was amazed, and I still can remember that moment. I still can remember the Lord of Atlantis I pulled out of one of those first packs. I still can remember the Air Elemental, choosing blue and building a deck. Still can remember my first non-revised card, which was like the dark card, I think the Diabolical Machine, I mentioned it before. And that nostalgic feeling for me, along with the feeling over the years that I had a lot of great matches and a lot of amazing evenings with my friends, a couple of beers and just playing the game, that will never go away. And I say that often as well. If I don't have to, if I'm not in financial trouble, some cards I will never sell. And even if I don't play the game anymore, I put them away for a couple of years, that nostalgia doesn't go away. And I'm a nostalgic guy anyways. So yeah, some people can get rid of their stuff very easily. I'm not that. I'm a collector. You see, yeah, it's always been like that. I still have really like literally stuff from when I was like a small kid, and my toys and audio cassettes and these kind of things. Again, a different story. So the first reason why people choose to at least try sorcery is that nostalgia. Because if you look at the alpha, if you look at the beta, if you open those packs, if you see the beautiful artwork, and if you look at the fantasy setting, if you look at some of the epic texts on there, the humor, the fun, if you play your first match and you feel that it's very thematic and very cool and just gives you a great vibe and feeling overall. And if you sit down with your friends and you play a draft and everybody's like, hey, this looks cool, hey, have you tried this card? That nostalgic feeling I do not really experience with new MTG sets on average anymore. With sorcery, that's definitely the case. That nostalgic fantasy setting vibe that has this certain coolness but also epicness and a little bit of blood, a little bit of edge. That is, I think, the main reason why people are attracted to sorcery. And then, of course, which more or less ties into the first reason, is the second reason, that's the artwork. And I want to mention it separately because it's super important. The artwork is the best on the market. Better than Magic the Gathering. And I had a look at some Magic the Gathering sets recently, and I often think art is very replaceable. And I found out for myself that the art actually isn't as bad as I thought when I had a closer look at all the new Magic the Gathering cards. But it's just too small and the canvas is too big. So what really stood out in the early Magic the Gathering days is that across the table from me, my opponent was playing a certain card, and I right away knew what it was. That instant recognition. And that came because the pictures were so expressive. The pictures were very unique and different and cool. And now it's sometimes it's very beautiful artwork still, but it's just too much. And somehow it's too small. I don't know. And some cards still look very cool, but overall, I think Magic the Gathering cards do not convey that epicness for me anymore on average. For sorcery, that's totally different. The artwork is literally the centerpiece of the card. The artwork, anyways, is the best on the market. As I said, it's fantastic. They're not only using new fantastic artists who do their art hand-painted completely, so the whole game is built on completely 100% hand-painted art, but they also use old Magic the Gathering artists to do that, as well as new artists. So artists like Drew Tucker, Jeff A. Mangus, Anson Maddocks, and Melissa Benson, and several other old Magic the Gathering artists, as well with some iconic artists like Ed Beard Jr. or Jeff Easley, which of course did Magic the Gathering cards as well, but they are like on a different level in general, I think, because they are so like big in this art world. Not that the others are not. They are all crazy, busy and big and fantastic, but some are even on a more different level. That's what I want to say. And that doesn't matter. For sorcery, it doesn't matter. Everybody's participating. Old artists, new artists. The art is fantastic. The sets are themed again. Like the Alpha Beta is more like a general fantasy setting. Arthurian Legends is more based around King Arthur's legends. And then we got Gothic, which is more based around like horror and like dark Gothic art and fantasy, and that's how it was back in the old days for Magic the Gathering. You knew exactly what to expect. You knew what a set was, what the vibe of a set was. And sometimes that's still the case, but overall everything is pretty replaceable. But if I look at Arthurian Legends and I look at all the knights and the swords and the weapons and the scenery and everything, it just fits. And that's what people love about Sorcery. The artwork, the themed sets, and then the whole vibe that goes with it. And then last but not least, I would say, for me personally, as well as for many others, the overseeable release schedule is the third point I want to mention. That means Sorcery normally releases one set a year. And yes, you sometimes have, here, a small set in between with a couple of cards, which is kind of a secret lair in Magic the Gathering. For Sorcery, it's the Dragon Lord set, which has around 14 cards, I think, and one foil, right? And it's themed around dragons. Ed Beer Jr. drew all of these cards. So that's a super cool concept, but in general, it's one set a year. And that lets me enjoy that set. That lets me buy a booster box here and there and open it, and then build decks around certain card types I want to build decks around. And overall just, take my time for a certain set. Once I open the box in Magic, I'm still stuck on Tarkir Dragonstorm, which I mention all the time. And that set is almost a year old, right? It's and I still like to just play with those decks. And that's for me how it goes with the commander decks and build my decks myself and open boosters to do a draft or whatever. Because I really enjoyed that set. For Sorcery, it's different. Sorcery just had Gothic come out a few months ago, and we're all still busy with Gothic, and that's okay, and that's very cool. And I already am looking forward to open the next box, and I already opened a few boxes, so it is different. So we got, obviously, nostalgia, we got the artwork, and we got a very relaxed pace for us old guys who like to take things a little more slowly. I want to add one thing Magic the Gathering has going for it, which Sorcery should have going for it, which seemed it had, and it does not seem so anymore for me personally. Old Magic the Gathering to me is very collectible still. And we got a lot of people who want to get rid of the reserve list. And we got a lot of people who hate dual lands because they want to play them in their decks, but they're very expensive. But the fact is, and it always has been, since fucking day one I've been playing this game, that all my cards went up in value. And I'm not buying them because they go up in value. I don't mind. I love these cards. But I like that I have a collection that actually grows in popularity over the years. And with new Magic, that's definitely not the case. You got some cards that are very played and people really are after. And normally they reprint those into the ground after a couple of sets or years when they see, oh, this card went up to $150. Let's sell a few boxes, put it in there, and bring it down to 50. And they don't do it to keep the prices low, as a lot of people from the Game Piece Army say. They do it because they want to sell boxes. And that's okay. But Magic the Gathering has a beautiful thing called the reserved list. And that means some vintage cards are not allowed to be reprinted. Because back in the day, when Magic the Gathering actually started reprinting cards, a lot of people like me were really pissed because we had certain cards. We took a lot of effort to get those cards. We paid a lot of money to, it's a collectible card game. And you say, you're stupid for paying money, but it is what it is. It's a question of availability and demand. And the availability was not very high. And the demand was very high. And the game was set up as a collectible game as well. Not only a game, but a trading card game, a collectible card game. And that was fantastic, because that was awesome that you had those different rarities. And we still do. Then they could just print, I always say this, if you want to have every card for a penny, if you want to have all the cards that all the cards have the same value. You can just do it like a board game. You print the box, you put all 200 cards of that set in there, and then you put that box out there for $49.99 or $199.99, forever you want to sell it, and that's it, and everybody has the same cards. Everybody can build the same deck. But that's not how this works. It's a collectible card game with randomized boosters. It's a card game that has different rarities. The whole system is built on trading these cards. Some are more rare than others. All cards are equal, but some cards are more equal than others. I love that Animal Farm quote. Especially if you use it for your own context. I love that Magic the Gathering has those collectible cards, and I love my old sets, and a lot of people out there know that. If you follow the channel, you know that. I loved that in the beginning for Sorcery as well. I built my beta set, I opened alpha boxes, I have a Curio, I'm very happy about this. But after the 47th reprint of Pain, it feels like a lot of waves. And the overprinting of Arthurian Legends. And allegedly the Gothic set is underprinted, but a second wave is on the way because they want to take it a bit more carefully. They want to approach it a bit more carefully. It's very clear to me that's not their business model. They don't make a collectible game. They make a game, yeah, but the game has to grow. Yeah, but that was the case for Magic the Gathering as well. It's not that they reprinted the Antiquities set because it sold so well. When it was gone, and they came out with a new set. Yeah, but it's different because they only have one set a year. No, it's not, because that one set a year is the set people can look forward to. And let's face it, we got a lot of Arthurian Legends people can buy. We got a lot of singles people can buy because there are people who opened thousands of boxes. So I think the whole sorcery market is a little smaller than people might think and might expect. And I talked about that before as well. It's not to diss sorcery. I just told you I love it. I just told you that it's a great game. And there are a lot of people who actually try it and like it and put Magic the Gathering on the pause button because sets like Spider-Man or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Fallout or whatever Universes Beyond shit they come out with is not their thing, and that's okay. They want to have a real nice grown-up fantasy game, and Magic the Gathering obviously is trending towards being a kids game. And I get that because they need new players. So it's not that it's wrong, but it's not for all of us. And all that of the target group, which I belong to, and it's not just old guys, it's just like people who enjoy a certain vibe of seriousness, fantasy, and nostalgia, and love to read those fantasy books, and love to play Dungeons and Dragons, and love those video games like Baldur's Gate and stuff like that, you know? People enjoy a little more seriousness for the fantasy setting, I think. And that's good. But as a collector, I think sorcery is failing me. And I talked about this before. I met a lot of people who said, I'm going to sell everything, I'm going to jump over to sorcery. I saw that with Flesh and Blood as well in the beginning right away. Most prominent one, I think, is Louis from Kitchen Table TCG, which I personally think is a fantastic YouTuber, fantastic shop owner, and he's telling you how it is. And of course, he's a businessman, so he has his own narrative. But he was the first one to actually talk to me about trading cards here on my channel. He was like right away saying, hey, sure man, let's record a video. I appreciate that kind of stuff. And he sold, I think, most of his Magic the Gathering collection to get Flesh and Blood because he was so positive about it. And then I think he turned around on that and bought back some Magic the Gathering stuff. I saw him get his first Black Lotus he always wanted to have, so yeah. And the same I see with people selling MTG for sorcery and believing in it. That's a big thing. Some people believe in sorcery so strongly that they just think it's the next big thing. It will be here forever. And they are so passionate about it. So everything you say about it is that might be interpreted a bit negative is completely not okay. But on the other hand, people already switch back from Sorcery to Magic the Gathering. I had a couple of people approach me, and not only one, but maybe like 5, 6, like, hey, I'm gonna get some old Magic the Gathering stuff because I want to get into that pre-modern again, and I sold a little bit, and I don't have that much anymore. I really like that Antiquities stuff you are collecting. I'm gonna get some Antiquities artist proofs too. I'm gonna get some Antiquities cards in general. Yeah, maybe want to build up my vintage deck. I still got some old cards and I want to add a few more. And yeah, Sorcery is awesome, but the collectibility is not there. So it goes both ways. Again, this video is not about choosing sides for Sorcery or Magic the Gathering. I think Sorcery definitely has its place, and I think Sorcery as a game is great. Sorcery as a long-term collection thing, for me personally, is I don't see it at the moment. I have to be convinced again. In the beginning I saw it and I collected. Now I'm not very tempted to go out of my way to get a Gothic set. Why would I? Because they're gonna reprint it anyway. So disappointed with the second wave of beta, the third wave of beta, the print quality. And I'm one of the few ones who mentions this. We still need to talk about authentication and how to identify real Sorcery cards more. I think I'm one of the only ones who made videos about that as well. I get more and more questions about it. People think like, yeah, this is not real. And then it's like a different wave or a different printing or whatever. It's weird. To me, by now they should have figured things out. Some things, most things. And some things they have not figured out yet, which I would have expected them to figure out. But okay, let's see where it goes. But I would be a bit careful. That's all I'm saying. And I think that's okay. And yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I think the fact that I am very into the Sorcery community and that I enjoy the community a lot, and that I love to organize the big tournament every year together with my friends from Cardboard Guide. This time Gregor from the Wandraschek Winery, as well as Heine from the White Rabbit Community Game Store and his fantastic team, says a lot as well. It's okay to be critical about some things. I'm critical about Magic the Gathering all the time, and I love the game. I'm critical about Sorcery and some things I don't like, and I love the game. Overall, we talked about the 3 big reasons why I think Sorcery is very attractive to some Magic the Gathering players, and I think it's a good video for both games. And I'd like to thank Coach for the input. I think I'm going to do this more. Recently I made a video based on some feedback from Will from the Sorcery community. And he was like, "Wow, awesome you picked that up." And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, why not? It sounded like a good subject. And I'm happy to hear what you guys want me to talk about. I mean, it's not only me and my thoughts and opinions. It's about all of you as well. That's it for now. 25 fucking minutes. Jesus Christ. Longer than I thought. Leave me a comment. What do you what is the main reason for you to choose either Magic the Gathering or Sorcery? Like I prefer Magic the Gathering because Yoda told me to. I prefer Sorcery because the dark side has cookies. You never know. Stay healthy, folks. Stay frosty. I talk to you next time. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye-bye.